Lookout Podcast? The Lookout Podcast? Lookout Podcast.
Very origin of it, I guess you can kind of say it came from right before I went into structure fire. My friend BLM Paul, he had told me before my interview with the structure department, and I was not too nervous, but a little nervous and kind of trying to figure out what I was going to say. And he came up and put an arm on my shoulder, and he's like, "Hey man, don't worry about it. You got the gift of gab." And he has a southern accent. And the way he said it was like, it was just really calming. I was like, yeah, you know, I do like to talk. So figure you might as well talk to a lot of people.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And, you know, I think we have these conversations every day, you know, and at work, and it's kind of nice to be able to get it recorded and kind of share like kind of the good vibes that we get from work. And that's part of the reason why I like to go to work where we do, you know, is to hang out with you guys and a lot of folks in the wildland scene. But yeah, so we'll see where we can take this podcast. And my guest today on the Lookout Podcast officially is Doug Johnson.
Hello.
And Doug Johnson, where are you originally from?
I'm from Minnesota.
Minnesota. Whereabouts Minnesota?
I grew up in the cities, and after, 27 years of living in the cities, I kind of thought that I should move up north. So then I moved up to almost Canada.
Oh, nice.
And I was there for a few years.
Oh, nice. So when you're also, is that kind of like the Northwoods, kind of middle of nowhere kind of country?
Yeah, Ely. It's like the gateway to the Boundary Waters. So it's like right up in the shit.
Oh, that's awesome,
Yeah.
dude. I always want to check out the Boundary Waters.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, my pretty much wife and her family used to go for yearly vacations to the Boundary Water. Like if they were going to celebrate something, like I think when she graduated 8th grade and when her brothers graduated 8th grade and all those like kind of little life events, they'd always take off to the Boundary Waters and celebrate. So I always want to go check it out. Did you do some canoeing up there?
I did a little bit of kayaking. Not as much as I would have liked because I was going to school at the same time, but
yeah. Were you kayaking because you were solo?
No, I go with my girlfriend a lot.
Oh, nice.
We both have kayaks.
Oh, that
it's kind of easier to maneuver around and everything.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of getting at. Is that like a canoe? If you're not paying attention, and the other person's not paying attention, you can tip that thing pretty easy. At least that's my experience.
For sure.
And so, how many years are you? Well, I guess to recap, like after Ely's, when you came to Missoula, Montana.
Yes. Yep. So I worked 1 year in fire, and I don't know, in Minnesota, it's kind of like super hard to move up in fire just because it's such a cool place to work that people get there and they like keep those jobs. So the recommendation that everybody was giving me was like, you got to move out west. There's a lot more fire. There's just like a lot more opportunity. So
yeah, that makes sense to me because when we had the Lola Peak fire, you guys probably remember how big that one was and all the resources that come. And of course, when it's on your home district, you really don't get to go fight the fire. Sadly, you are stuck for IA, which is all right. You know, you just kind of miss out on a little bit of money if you're not on fire. But there's a few resources that came up, and one of the engines was from Minnesota, and they were saying the same thing. Like I think the assistant had more time in the fire than I had, and I had more quals, and we were the same GS level, I believe. And he had I think he had 5 or 10 years on me. Wow. Yeah, but he, you know, his family's all there, and there's just not as many options, like you said, to move. Were you in the Forest Service there or the state?
Yeah, Forest Service.
Oh, Forest Service. Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, and I noticed too, like when I was down south on assignments, there's not a whole lot of workforce there. So when I was working at the jump base, we go on the Region 8 assignments, which Region 8, you know, is most of the South, and like from Texas, pretty much over to the East Coast, I believe. And I guess it might be some pockets over the east side where there's, you know, a different region, but a pretty big area. And a lot of times they need, well, like us, you know, whenever they can recruit folks from Region 1 to go down there and burn, and some other regions will go down there, like Region 5, smoke jumpers were down there when I was there. But so there wasn't a whole lot of job options there, you know, for being in the workforce like we have. So
there's like a lot less seasonals, and just I think a lot less permanent jobs too. Like they just don't have such a big fire organization that we have. Yeah,
that's what it seems like. Like when I went down to Arkansas, there was an FMO, and I'm not even sure if there was an AFMO. I think it might have just been him. But that was a good time there. So you came out to Missoula, and did you have a job in Stevensville before you came, or?
So once we decided we were moving out here, we just applied for a bunch of jobs, and I ended up getting one in Stevensville.
Oh, nice.
So like before we moved out here, I already had the job.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know I knew you were kind of taking a leap of faith leaving, but I know how
Yeah.
big. Yeah, it's always nice to have a job before you go somewhere.
For sure.
That's a good deal. And then, so you have three years in fire now?
Yep,
or?
3 years in fire now.
Oh, nice. So is there a big difference between Minnesota Forest Service versus like Montana Region 1 Forest Service?
I think just like structure-wise and the way everybody works together is kind of similar. There's just a lot more fire here.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And projects, do you guys do similar projects then too?
Yeah, tons of thinning.
A lot of thinning, yeah.
Tons of thinning.
Mosquitoes got to be horrible back there, huh?
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, that's something nice. So we're starting to fight the ticks, but when I was a kid, I don't remember seeing ticks anywhere. And then when I was up, Highway 12 heading towards Idaho, there were some ticks. Did anyone have some ticks on them this year or encounter with some ticks?
Couple here and there, but
yeah.
Nothing like Minnesota.
Yeah, the lookout. Yeah, did you have any up there?
No, not the lookout, but previously before.
Oh,
When
yeah.
I was doing fire crew, I had some ticks.
Oh, yeah, man. Oh, those are horrible. Like, mosquitoes, can get you sick, but you get Lyme disease.
That's no joke.
Yeah, it seems to stay with you.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't need that in my life.
Mm-hmm.
You hear about, there's that one, the one disease you can get from that tick, I think in Texas. I don't know if it's Texas, but it's called the Lone Star tick.
Oh.
That if you get this disease, you become allergic to red meat.
Oh, of course, in Texas. Oh, those poor bastards. Can you imagine? Like, they live on red meat. I live on red meat,
Yeah.
Like,
Can you imagine?
Oh.
I think there are a few Lone Star ticks around here, too.
Like,
Like,
you
you
can
can
get
get it
thing
here.
ever.
Oh, sketch.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be,
And it can be bad, too.
Yeah.
Like, you can be not only allergic to red meat, but I think even, like, dairy products, too.
oh,
Like,
that'd be the end of me.
Yeah.
Like with my Crohn's, I don't really have much room for vegetables and things, because it makes me, so they wreck me. So I don't know. I guess chicken. I mean, that's not red meat. You still eat chicken, huh?
You could eat chicken and fish.
Oh, see, that'd be all right then. I don't mind fish.
Yeah.
I'm getting better at that because fish really agrees with me. So trying to figure that out. Get it on the Traeger.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Fish on the Traeger?
Fish on the Traeger. Yeah.
Dang.
This podcast is sponsored by Traeger.
Yeah, it just became. Oh man.
You gotta have fish.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that'd be amazing. But yeah, Traeger's just like, a guy like me who doesn't know anything about smoking. It's just like an easy way to do it. Like just, fail safe smoking.
Oh, okay. So it's just like beginner level. Any guy can do it.
Yeah,
kinda
It's
thing.
like an oven
That's
that puts
nice.
smoke on your fish for you and makes it kind of nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 2 seasons here, 1 season in Minnesota. Project work's kind of similar, a little different fire. That's what I was gonna ask you about Minnesota. Did you get to do some burning like out on islands or any of that kind of cool stuff?
Not out on an island, but I did like canoe out to a burn.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's the stories I always heard.
Yeah.
Were you working with Timo?
Yeah, Timo.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he used to jump here in Missoula, and
Yeah.
he was gone before I came here, but he's always seems like he's pretty good about getting jumpers to go that way for assignments in the off season.
Nice.
And they come back with some of the coolest stories, like canoeing out to islands and doing all like cool kind of burns that you don't get to do out here really.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but you might not be a career man in the wildland fire scene, correct?
I mean, that's kind of hard to say.
Yeah, it's on the fence.
It's kind of, I don't know. I mean, we all kind of get into it for the same reason. Like, it's fun.
Yeah,
you love it, but I don't know. Is it a super good career move to stay in fire?
I don't know. I mean, you're probably asking the right person. I've been in for like 12 years. So, I think, if you kind of grind it out and are willing to move a lot, I mean, you can make a pretty good jump and, get a pretty good living. The problem at like RGS levels, as you guys know, is that you gotta get a lot of overtime in fire, and fire equals, the overtime and the hazard pay, which helps pay the bills and kind of get you through the winter. But, once you get those higher GS levels, like the captain position where you can work year round, I mean, that's a pretty good place to be. And it seems like there's more of those positions opening up, and, they just recently made that a higher GS level. So that definitely helps.
It's kind of tough for me too, like getting into it a little older than normal. Like, I don't know, I was 30 before I started. So like a lot of these guys started when they're 18 and they're like the same age as me and they already have captain jobs. So
it's
makes it tough.
Yeah, and us being the same age too, there's kind of like that, we have 3 years to get a permanent if we really want to make us, a move at a fire job. And, so it's getting down to crunch time for us, but there's still some time.
Oh, for sure.
in jumping, do you have 3 years?
Well, 37, is like the cap. So since we're 34, yeah. But I think there's a little bit of wiggle room with your temp time, I want to say, or some kind of wiggle room in there. I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so we got a little bit of time, and like you said though, I think that's the kind of the best mind frame is like keep pushing forward, but always kind of see what your opportunities might come from the job or elsewhere. And it seems like myself, even people kind of end up coming back because they go out there and do a different job and maybe don't get to go out in the woods as much as we do and end up missing that. I know I did. Like back when I came this summer, even though I was laid up, it was still cool just like roaming around the projects and
hell yeah.
yeah, trying to help out whenever I could. And yeah. And then would you say your outdoor enthusiasm kind of brought you to the job, or what brought you to the job in the first place?
Yeah, I mean that's 100% it. Just loving being outside, loving traveling, and that's like we get to do that for a job.
Yeah.
So I think that's what keeps people in the job.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you said that because that's what I was going to ask you too. Is that there's so many places I would never have gone on my own. So it's really cool. Like there's this. I'm going to butcher the name, but it's I'm just gonna say it's a wilderness. Northern California, kind of near Tahoe. It starts with M. And it was one of the most beautiful places I've ever been in my whole life. And I don't think I would have. I know I would have never been there without fire. And, you have anything like that that's happened to you so far?
I mean, there's like, I love traveling, and like in my off time, I like camping, traveling, or whatever. But the one thing that's been really cool in fire is just getting like a helicopter ride or a plane ride out in the wilderness. That's definitely something I would have never done.
Oh yeah,
without
man.
it.
Yeah, that helicopter ride, huh? Like, did you have your first one in the Forest Service?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, like same here. So and I went a long time before I got it. I don't. Maybe it was my third year when I finally got one, but I'd heard about it and mixed. Some people got sick and some people really liked it. And when I first got in there, it was like nothing I'd imagined because when it takes off, you get that little almost like zero gravity kind of moment when it first kind of takes off, and it's like, whoa, that's kind of different,
It's kind of like when you're
floating
on a roller coaster.
Yeah,
you can feel it in your stomach. There's like that one moment.
Yeah, exactly.
When you're coming up.
Yeah, just a little bit after takeoff, and I was like, whoa, this is so, and maybe just because I was used to planes and going forward when I take off, and like a helicopter goes straight up most of the time, I believe, and at least that's what I felt.
Yeah, I've had a few helicopter rides, and like they're not all the same. I've definitely had at least one pilot that was like, I don't know, just the way he went about it, he was like quick.
Yeah.
Like the way we took off was way faster than before, and it was like a little sketchy, but also, I don't know.
Yeah, now that you mentioned that, that kind of makes me think about my first time, because when I first took off, it was really gentle and slow, and I think that's probably why I got that feeling more. And then ever since, I don't think I've been in a pilot with a pilot that took off kind of like that. Like you said, it was a little more quick. And this older boy who said they told me he's from Vietnam, which I don't know, it was like 10 years ago, so maybe. But he definitely looked salty enough to be. And that guy was, I mean, it was really like precise flying. And there's this helispot we had cut out. It's the first time I ever did that. So, I mean, I was using the RPG and trying to do specs, but also don't have a clue how big the area I was cutting was. The one pilot didn't really like it too much, but then this old boy came in and he flew right in. I was very happy because it was raining a lot, and I didn't want to have to deal with that, and like it was getting cold. And so that was a good feeling. Were you on that wilderness fire over by... Oh, what was the name?
Sky Pilot?
Sky Pilot. Yeah, that's the name.
Oh, yeah.
You got flown into that one, didn't you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was the best.
Yeah.
How
many shifts? How long were you on it?
Oh, it was just 2 shifts.
2 shifts?
Yeah.
Looked gorgeous.
Yep. Yeah, it was just a little fire, just me and one guy. It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was like the best.
Oh, man. I remember talking to you guys about it because of that one fire that I had up Neck Lake, which I think is just like one drainage over, I think, right? I think they're kind of close, but...
Yeah, it's pretty close. I think. Yeah.
But yours, that Sky Pilot's a little deeper into the wilderness, and I remember wanting to hike in there, but hiking to Neck Lake was definitely an all-day event. So I was like, I don't know if I want to go check that out. But
I think you'd have to camp at least one night.
Yeah.
It was like 12 miles, I think.
I think
12
so
mile
too.
hike.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about like if we end up having to hike out, how much it would suck.
Oh God, right? Yeah, you never really can tell if you're gonna have to, because weather event could come up or the helicopter gets called to something else, and there you are. Yeah, that makes for a brutal time. I mean, it'll still be a good fire when you leave, but for a little while, it might not be such a good fire. And then, what would you say your best fire is?
I think it would be a tie between that and my first wilderness fire, which was 9 miles into Blodgett that we also got flown into, and it was
cool.
I don't know, it was awesome.
Yeah, I've never even been back to that country.
It's amazing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
As many lakes and water and all that stuff.
So we were, I think like the lake is 12 miles in, so we were 9 miles in, and like I think the third day on the fire it was like in a monitor situation, so we got to hike out to the lake.
Oh,
like
cool.
Blodgett Lake, and it was incredible.
I'll have to check that out, because I've never been back there. Where's like the trailhead for that?
It's just right by Hamilton.
Right by Hamilton?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll check that one. There's so many good trails on the Bitterroots, on the west side there, but they're really long. So
they're very long.
Yeah,
it's a commitment.
It is
for sure.
By the time I really knew about them this year, we were on fire hours, working 6 days, one off, and that one off you don't really spend trying to put in 12 or 24 miles. You go to Sky Pilot, and be more worn out coming back to work than going into my day off.
Yeah, that's kind of the crazy thing about this job. Sometimes like people want to go camping and hiking on the weekend. You're like, I do that all week.
Yeah, I think stay indoors with some air conditioning.
I'm gonna sit on the couch.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Got to do some laundry and catch up on some bills, and so it's almost nice if you have that weekday off, because then you can make some phone calls and catch up on whatever stuff you have to do and back in the real world. So, your best hikes? What would you say? Like your favorite hike has been so far in your career, anywhere that you've been, or maybe just best outdoor experience? I guess we could just say
best outdoor experience.
Yeah.
On the clock or off the clock?
Off the clock. Just any time you've ever been outside and you're like, man, this is the best time I've ever had, and I need to tell Luke about it.
Well, I do miss North Shore, Minnesota.
North Shore, Minnesota?
Yeah, on the shore of Lake Superior.
Oh.
There's just like a million waterfalls and like the coolest hikes ever.
Oh, that's really cool.
I love being in the mountains, but
yeah,
probably my best hikes were back in Minnesota.
Oh, I bet, man. Well, that's kind of like some of your first experiences, right? Being
out for sure. Yeah.
And then kind of still home, even though you've been out here for a while. I bet, huh?
Yeah, definitely North Shore is where I like became super in love with being outdoors.
Oh man, yeah, that's great. That's some country I've yet to check out. Well, like I said, with the Boundary Waters, and then is the North Shore near Isle Royale? Yeah,
so Isle Royale is kind of up, like closer to Canada.
Oh,
like it's pretty far up there, and then it's actually, I'm trying to think. It's like a couple miles off the shore, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah, because that's the only thing I really have to reference, because I haven't really seen too many pictures. Besides like the Edmund Fitzgerald documentary from up around that area. But the Isle Royale, like the pictures I've seen there, it looks so amazing. The blue water, the first few photos I saw, it almost looked like you were in the Bahamas or somewhere in the Caribbean because of how blue and turquoisey the water looked.
Yeah, for sure.
And
it's super clear.
Yeah, I was really impressed. And I talked to somebody, it was you, talking about the water and how cold it is out there, though.
Oh, yeah. You don't want to go, you don't swim in Lake Superior unless you're crazy.
Yeah. That makes sense. 'Cause I've been in Lake Michigan in it. The first time I just cannonballed in, not thinking anything. And my head like hurt so bad. It got one of those like cold headaches from the water.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it was brutal.
Yeah.
So to come back to your career, if you weren't going to do wildland fire, where else would you go?
Oh man. I don't know. That's a tough thing to say. It's kind of like probably with the Forest Service still, but maybe just like, I don't know, fire effects or like some kind of higher up, like more research orientated thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I always thought, and even some of the folks that are in fire around our age who are talking about getting out of it, they always talk about possibly coming back to Missoula because it's such a hub, with the AFD and the fire lab and MTDC, which is called something else now, and there's a few more options, and even the university with forestry program there too.
It's kind of the perfect spot to be.
Yeah, that's for sure. And like I said, options, like to keep you out in the woods. I think that's kind of the thing that gets maybe a few of us, like even myself. Been on a lot of different fire, been gone a lot, and it would just be kind of nice to have summer around here where, you're not kind of having to watch the weather so much and look at the phone,
Mm-hmm.
But like you, I don't know, I might end up in here for the rest of my life, and which would be all right. Still a great job, and
yeah, for sure.
And most of it's just hanging out with folks like you, and you, Tanner. And then I'm just speaking for you, and let me know if I'm wrong. But another passion of yours is brewing beer.
Yes, sir, that is correct. I love drinking beer, but I also love brewing beer.
Yeah, see, that's
Speaking of which.
yeah, hey, that was good timing. Yeah, because I would refer to you, and this is just my words, not Doug's, as a homebrew master. I mean, is that such a thing?
It's kind of tough to say homebrew master because it's there's a lot to learn.
Yeah.
And even after 8 years, like, I'm still learning a lot for sure.
Man, 8 years, dang. So, what was the first brew like? Was it sour? Was it something go wrong?
So actually, my first couple brews turned out pretty well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was going to say, if you had that hiccup on the first one, it'd be hard to maybe keep going.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I imagine that's happened to a lot of people where they buy gear, brew one beer, and they're like, oh, this tastes really bad. I'm probably not going to do this.
Yeah, I'm bad at this. Yeah, I've even had some friends do that where they bottled it and, we all open it together and you're like, it's good, man. You're just kind of muscling through it and be like, oh, maybe this should be your only brewing experience.
Yeah, especially since if you make a bad beer, now you have 50 of them.
Oh.
And if you're a cheap ass like me, you're probably going to drink them all. It's going to suck.
Well, I'd say all of us would probably do that. And pride, you're like, I'm getting through these because I made them.
Yep.
So what kind of beer was your first beer?
I think it was an Oktoberfest, actually.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And I don't know, what makes an Oktoberfest? Is there a difference?
So it was kind of like it was kind of a cheap way to do an Oktoberfest because it was like fermented like a normal ale, whereas like a traditional Oktoberfest is usually fermented at a cool temperature and then it's like aged at a cool temperature for a while. So it's kind of like a pseudo Oktoberfest, I guess.
Oh, gotcha. So what you mean by like fermented? It was like fermented. Did you ferment it? Or
yeah, I did. Yeah.
Gotcha. I didn't know if you got like some already fermented ingredients. I know nothing about this, so I should just like say that, let everyone know I drink beer, but I don't know anything about the beer. But so then where'd you go from there?
So from there, I kind of started brewing a lot of hoppy beers because it's what I love.
Yeah.
And
when you say hoppy, you mean like IPAs and pales? Is that kind of category?
Yeah, kind of IPAs, pales, hazy IPAs now that they're. Yeah. Back when I started brewing, hazy IPA wasn't even a thing, really.
Yeah, tonight was the first time I heard that, and I heard you explain it to Tanner. What's the hazy IPA again?
So basically, the difference between like a traditional West Coast IPA and a hazy IPA is the hops are added like a lot later in the process, so it kind of creates like a haze of just like hop oils, essentially.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, so it's more of an emphasis on like the fruity flavors of the hops and like the floral aromas and that and whatnot.
Oh, gotcha.
Other than just straight bitterness.
Oh, all right. I'm kind of tracking there. Haven't had too many IPAs and pales. It feels like my palate's getting a little better with age, and with the old Crohn's, I haven't been able to really have too much beer in a long time, but kind of tracking a little bit. And does the haze have anything with the appearance, or is it just mostly the later?
Yeah, it's the appearance. It's just like looks, so you can't really like see through it as well as you could in normal beer. It's just kind of like hazy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that. Aesthetically pleasing, I think.
Yeah, and traditionally it used to be a bad thing. Oh. Like if you made a hazy beer, like that's a shitty beer.
And you like messed up.
But now it's like gone way to the opposite extreme where like people are adding like crazy stuff to their beer to make it look hazy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, people are like adding flour.
Whoa.
Or like yeah, they're like throwing apples in the boil and shit, just like trying to make it look hazier.
Dang.
So I don't know, it's funny how much stuff changes.
Yeah, it's wild. I wonder why it was like such a clean look in the beginning, because you had dark beers and stuff that you can't. I guess it just was uniform on the color, I guess. Maybe that's kind of.
But like any other like paler style beer, usually you could see through it.
Oh yeah, that's true, huh?
Yeah.
yeah, like I said, with age, I'm starting to kind of like that flavor a little bit more. I don't know. It's weird how your palate changes with age.
Oh, for sure.
You know, like I used to have a mean sweet tooth, and not so much anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So the recent was the hazy IPA you were just telling me about.
Mm-hmm.
And then, do you brew seasonally, or how do you change? You just kind of see something and you're like, I need to try that, or do you go kind of with the seasons?
So I usually have like a couple hazies going at all times.
Oh, gotcha.
Like, and then I'll do like a coffee stout that I typically have on tap, and then other than that, it's just kind of like whatever I feel like doing at the moment.
Oh man, I like it. Yeah. Those ciders. Well, that's why I was kind of wondering, because the last time, or the very first time I was over here, and the last time, you had the ciders and that coffee stout, and they both seemed like a fall flavor in my mouth.
Mm-hmm,
And yeah, it was amazing.
Definitely with the fall, I'll do like a little, I don't know, something apple, something pumpkin themed, like
Yeah.
some fall flavors.
That reminds me, I got the bottle for you that you let me borrow so I could take it home.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I've been staring at that thing for a couple of weeks because I thought I was going to run into you at hockey. But yeah, I just had those tasters, those, small little sip of that stout and the ciders. I was like, man, these are amazing, and like, I'm not like a beer expert as you can probably tell by the way I'm asking you these questions, but yeah, it was really, really good, I thought.
Well, thanks, man.
Yeah. And obviously Tanner's back, so I mean, he's a fan.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. Yeah, I really like the hazy.
It is.
Thank you.
I was also wondering if it's like a marketing thing, like just the word hazy.
Oh, 100%.
Oh.
100%.
Like, oh, that's the new thing right
Mm-hmm.
now.
Yeah, if you go down the beer aisle at the grocery store, like pretty much all IPAs now are going to say hazy or juicy. And it's like 100% a marketing thing.
For sure.
And like a lot of times they're not that good.
Yeah.
And so the other thing with hazies is they have like a shelf life. Like if they're more than 2 months old, like a lot of those hop flavors like kind of dissipate. So I don't know. It's kind of it's a hard thing with the marketing.
That's good to know though.
Yeah, that is good to know.
Yeah, if I'm getting a hazy, I always look at the canning date. If it's like more than 2 months, I don't buy it.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's something to think about too. I mean, I kind of do the same thing with coffee. Like when it's roasted. I don't know if that has anything to do with anything, but I just try to get them more
for
fresh.
sure.
Does it?
For sure.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, so I'm doing all right. Yeah, kind of an accident, kind of just thinking with anything like you guys were just saying with the beer and all that. The canning date to see how long the shelf life is, and that's I wonder if the other bigger beers. I mean, they got to have a pretty decent shelf life, you'd think, because of how much production goes into those. And that's what I was gonna say too. Like the smaller, back when I used to drink more, I'd go through the shelves, and like you're saying with the hazies, it seems like within the last 10 years you see so many other breweries and beer, and so I try to stick to kind of the stuff that's a little more local because of that. Like you're saying, the shelf life and when it was canned.
And a lot of like more traditional beers, a lot of them tasted like better with age.
Oh really?
Like lagers,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. It's typically like aged for, at least 6 months or whatever.
Oh wow.
So it's kind of like a new thing where people are seeking out like fresh beer.
Yeah. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. So like a hazy, like time start to finish, how long does that take? Did you guys already cover this on a spacing out?
No, so like a traditional lager, it would ferment for at least a month, and then you would also like age it in the cold for, I don't know, at least 4 months, 6 months, even sometimes longer. And then like a hazy IPA, I think from grain to glass, it's like 11 days.
11. Wow.
Yeah. So like I ferment it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really fast.
Yeah.
Man.
So it takes like, usually done fermenting in 5 days. And then I just let everything settle a little bit and then keg it.
Nice. And then, so after you keg it, what's the shelf life then? I mean, is it a week or?
I think like in kegs, when it's been stored cold, like I noticed with my homebrew beers, like they're pretty good for a couple of months.
Oh wow! So,
but like once you put it in a can, and then you start shipping it, it's gonna go through like it's gonna get warm, then it's gonna get cold, then it's gonna get warm. Yeah, and it has a huge impact.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I kind of see it. And then I remember hearing that. Well, I don't know if I read it or I saw like a little history of like Guinness, and they create that little gator thing where.
Oh yeah, the little ball in it.
Yeah. That releases nitrogen when you crack it, I think, right? And then you're supposed to pour it out.
Yep.
And no one ever told me this. My first Guinness, I was like all stoked, 21 years old, and dusted those things off the shelf, and I mean, I don't know if it was in my parents' fridge or where it came from, but
Drinking it straight from the can.
yeah, straight from the can, did not pour it out. I'm like, man, this is a little rough.
Yeah.
Who said Guinness was good?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm not digging this. And then the next Guinness I had was on tap. I was like, oh, it's a different story here.
Yeah.
And then you can watch, like, in the commercials, it was just the same deal, and then finally someone cued me in on pouring it out, and it was a lot better. It's still on tap's better, but
For sure.
pouring it out was definitely a better deal there.
For sure.
Have you ever made anything like that, like the Guinness style?
So I have like the coffee stout I was saying earlier.
Oh yeah.
I usually have that on tap, and it's on nitro.
Oh, on
So it
nitro.
kind of has that same like cascading effect and whatnot.
What gives it? Is it the tiny bubbles from nitro? What gives it that kind of almost like sand looking?
So there's like a restrictor plate in the tap that has just like a few little holes, and then it's like pressurized way more than a normal beer. So it basically like shoots through those holes, and that's kind of what like it makes it off gas essentially.
Oh, gotcha. Is that oh man, I wish I had the word for it, but it gives you kind of almost like that kind of spiral to it. Does that make any sense?
Or like cascading,
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Yeah. And I'm gonna think of it, but it's gonna be way after this, so I'm just gonna drop it by now, right now. And then making a cider, it seems to my undeveloped palate, it seems like a lot of fruit, and it's more sweet, like more sugar maybe, or what goes into the cider, I guess.
So usually a cider, I'll actually sweeten it after it's fermented.
Oh, really?
So like the yeast is gonna pretty much eat all that sugar up.
Oh, gotcha.
And then like for a beer, that's typically the way you'd want it.
Yeah.
But for a cider, you want it a little sweeter. So I'll put like a little more sugar, a little more apple juice concentrate in it,
Oh, gotcha.
and then keg it.
Oh, whatever you're doing, it's really working great, man.
Those ciders are good.
Yeah, they're really good. And then I don't know if this might be kind of out of your realm, but it's kind of similar with the kombucha making. It seems it has a sugar for the fermentation.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know anything about that, but
So I mean, like a kombucha fermentation kind of is the same as a beer fermentation. It's just like a different agent
gotcha.
kind of doing it. But yeah, essentially it eats the sugar.
Yeah, and so you don't have the yeast; you just have like the SCOBY or whatever.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of like similar to a yogurt culture.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yogurt. Oh, I shouldn't even talk about this anyway. I'm gonna drop this one right now. And then you have this awesome looking tap thing right behind you. What do you call that again?
It's Keyser.
It's a Keyser.
Yeah.
Teaser.
So you take a freezer and you turn it into a kegerator, essentially. Keyser.
Man, it is so many Keyser.
Keyser.
Freezer, kegerator. Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
I could not think of that. I was trying to brag on you. I was like, man, I got my buddy, and he's amazing. And one day we're gonna have a brewery and food and call it Doug's Thing and Stuff. What was the name again?
Doug's Shit and Other Weird Stuff.
Yeah, that's the title.
That's the name of my shop.
Yeah, coming soon, like within I don't know,
In
years.
1 to 30 years.
Yeah, 1 to 30 years. Yeah, we got some time. Still bring more stuff there, but yeah, I was just telling I can't remember who it was about it. I was like, yeah, I mean, it's awesome. It works so good. It looks super clean. Like the kegerator, it's good, but I don't know. There's something about having that many taps on something, and
Oh, for sure.
yeah, the style just looks amazing.
Mm-hmm.
How many kegs can you fit in one of those things?
So I have 11 taps, and I can fit 8 regular size, like 5-gallon kegs in there, and then I have a few smaller ones that I kind of stack on top.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Is the smaller one like 2.5?
So I have a couple that are 3 gallons, and 2 of those will stack on each other. And then I have also a few like 1.75 gallon,
Oh, whoa.
and those will actually stack on top of the 5-gallon kegs.
Oh, nice. So
Yeah.
I mean, you could really try and have
I
some
can fit
beer
some
in there
shit
if you
in
want.
there.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
You're having a full-on bash here. It'd be
Yeah.
no problem. Oh, that is awesome, man. I remember like when I was young, it was like the thing to have a keg at a party.
Oh, for sure. It's
You
the
know?
best.
Like, it is the best. There's something about it, man.
Yeah.
Like even if you weren't, at least me, like if I wasn't even really thinking about going to the party, I'd be like, there's gonna be a keg there. I'm like, oh, all right,
Yeah.
And talk about too, like even if you're going to a keg party, like cheap, like $5 for a cup, or people used to charge. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
so you get a lot of beer now, with the solo cup. Yeah, those were good times.
For sure.
One of those parties would kill me these days. Talking about a keg party.
Yeah, staying up past midnight.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
Ouch.
Hurts so bad. Yeah, last night I was playing hockey, which, boys, there might be some room for you on the old hockey team. Because me and you were talking about it. Yeah, I got to. Yeah, before you go online and get that USA hockey thing, I got to make sure it's all right with the captain. But
sweet,
man, like, especially with you being around, and sounds like we lost another fellow on the team. He's just starting off, and we're like in the upper level of the low level, and so he's gonna go down to the entry level and
so you're you're in the upper level.
It was too hard for him.
Well, yeah. Well, he never skated before, so he's
okay.
Yeah, so
okay.
Exactly. So he's getting the intro level.
So is the bar that you can skate?
Yeah, pretty much.
Just that you can skate.
For novice, I've never played hockey before or organized hockey before, and I can kind of almost skate.
Yeah.
Intermediate is you can skate. Like you can go on and not fall down.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're intermediate?
No, I'm just in the upper level of the novice. So,
okay.
Yeah, just
there's two
not quite
levels
the bottom.
of novice?
Yeah, man.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so not quite at the bottom anymore. I'm on my way up. But that first game, man, and like I wish that fellow would have been there because he would have saw like. I mean, we're all start at the bottom,
Bodies.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's it. Yeah, that was kind of the bum deal about him going down. Is that like, I mean, I've never seen him skate. I don't think he ever had before, so it might take a little bit of time. But we had a fellow on our team a few years ago, and he played before, and he was a slow starter. But by the end of the season, I think he scored a few goals and was doing pretty good.
Really?
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So it doesn't take too long. It feels like forever because you have a week in between games. But then, like even last night, today's Monday, right?
Yeah.
So last night's game, I felt so much better, and I had a new pair of used skates, so not brand new, but way newer than I've ever had, and they even like baked them and everything. And man, when they bake them, they already felt nice, and then after baking, they felt really nice. And but they're almost too much performance the first night for me. I wasn't used to it because mine were so just wrecked and packed out. I had to really cinch them around the foot, to feel anything, but. But yeah, I mean, like, and you've skated before, especially growing up in the Great North there.
Oh yeah,
land of
10,000 lakes.
I don't use my gear. It's in Montana. You borrow it.
Dude, I have gear. I got gear.
You have gear?
What are you doing? You need to play hockey, man.
Oh, so man. That's the weird thing about like growing up in Minnesota, is there's always like an open rink, like a couple blocks from your freaking house, right?
Yeah.
Whoa,
and you can just go there whenever you want. And you can play hockey whenever the fuck you want. For free. Yeah. So like this whole playing at 10 o'clock at night shit is like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But no, I should. For sure.
Yeah, you should. I mean, I got out there at like 11:30, and it's super cool. Like a cool scene. You leave the rink, and usually there might be a few folks just kind of hanging out, and that are off your team. We're not like mixing with other folks and spreading anything, but because we've already been interacting with each other. But having a beer or two, and we're kind of winding down because like one of the fellows brought up last night. You go from like 100 miles an hour, giving it your all on the hockey rink, and which my all isn't very great, but and then trying to wind down from that, even though I got a nice little commute home, it's still, I mean, it takes a little bit, so it's kind of nice to be able to kind of decompress out there,
especially when you're short staffed and you don't have any breaks.
Oh man,
dude.
Yeah, I think we had so on offense, you got three folks, like a center and two wings, so we only had two subs for offense, and I think we had two for defense. So and it was.
Oh,
it's
really?
Kind of tough. Yeah.
Wow.
I think we had two subs for defense. Yep. Yeah, because
that's brutal, man.
That's tough.
Especially in novice.
Yeah.
Because novice, everyone's so bad.
Yeah, exactly.
That you end up skating twice as much as you need to because no one understands
like how to play hockey.
Yeah, exactly. And the passes are so sloppy,
passes are sloppy.
Yeah.
No one knows where to be on the ice.
Yeah, but man, those little victories when you finally do get like a pass to connect, you're like, yes, or you catch a pass, you're like, oh man, I'm a real hockey player now. Oh man, I had a breakaway last night, and I tried for the 5-hole.
Oh man,
and it was
it was bad.
Yeah, it was bad. I mean, I think anyone else would have scored, but that's just how it goes, I guess.
I'm pretty good at skating around, and I'm pretty good at swatting pucks,
dude,
out of people's, or like playing defense.
Yeah, swatting one off the stick. Yeah.
Man, so you need to be
yeah, exactly. Man.
No.
Yeah, don't go to
but like being on a breakaway and trying to score. There's no chance. I'm terrible at offense.
Yeah, I'm not good all around. I just kind of they put me in offense because it doesn't hurt. Like if you're bad in offense, then you don't hurt the team. If you're bad on defense, people are gonna score on you.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I end up, just on offense. But you'd probably be all right, especially in our league. The goalies are decent though, surprisingly this year. Usually the goalies are not great, so they just always go down to the butterfly. So if you can lift the puck at all, usually you got a pretty good shot, even if it's like just a slow tumbler. And that's usually my go-to. But lately, man, my slow tumbler is even slower and not really coming off the ice either. So it's been a little ugly, but yeah, man, it'd be great to have you. And we're short staffed, like Tanner was saying. And if Tanner wasn't going to a great spot and he hadn't been here so long, I'd be trying to get him to stay.
Well, yeah, let me know if there's an opening.
Yeah.
For sure, be interested.
Yeah, we should get text tonight. Like I said, that one fella had to go down, so which I think will be a better experience for him in the end, and then we can hopefully bring you in.
Yeah,
because we've had to have 2 subs in the last 2 games just to get our subs up for the team, and then so we have some subs on the bench. So that's kind of confusing, but you guys know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
No, I played in a rec league for like probably 2 years or something, and there was nights
in
where
Minnesota?
like there was nights when there was no subs on the bench, and it was just like, dude,
you're just dying.
Yeah,
once in a while on a really cold night here in Missoula, it seems like that's what happens,
Yeah,
especially in the outdoor rink.
Yeah.
Not as many people want to show up, and it's late too.
Yeah,
It's
I can see
pretty
that.
brutal.
Yeah.
10 and 11 o'clock games is brutal.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Uh-huh.
But it's super cool when you come into town. Like before I played, I'd come into town from wherever from the weekend and come in late on a Sunday, and weather would be kind of brutal. And you look over and at the fairgrounds and some people are out there playing. And, it's a game going novice or whatever it might be, and you're like, that is really cool. You know?
Yeah.
The community is amazing.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna get to. Yeah.
Most out of anything is just everyone getting together and hanging out. People coming to check out your games.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, some people usually get done and they have a couple beers and come watch you and kind of they're decompressing like we talked about. It's that's the part that kind of is a little tough this year, is that that part is a little dampened because COVID, but you still get a little bit of it. And
for sure, out of all the activities that you can do right now, that one's not as bad because especially the outdoor rink, you can
you're outdoors,
outside.
In the cold.
Yeah, in the cold. Yeah, totally. And the indoor too part, like I think they're allowing 50 folks because the bleachers are decent size. You can still, have your safe distance. But yeah, like you were saying, Tanner, my first game ever, barely could stand my skates. I remember running on my skates literally to get this puck, and I couldn't stop or turn very well, and I just slammed the boards right against where all the other beer leaguers were playing and watching and drinking beer, and they were just like, yeah! Yes. I just got up like, oh god, I just kept going.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite leagues to watch, novice and cup.
And the worst.
Yeah, last night, I don't know if it's Cup, but it's one of those upper division leagues, and they were playing after us. Just, I don't know, they try to space it out so you're not going to cross each other in the locker room still. So I think it's like a 30-minute buffer between games, like even if it's outdoor or indoor, I think. And I could be wrong, but that's just what it felt like. And so we were just hanging out, like I said, with my team and just kind of decompressing and talking each other up, because we did a little better. We actually won a game, so we're pretty stoked. And
nice.
And then we hear a little commotion, and we cruise over to the outdoor rink, and one of those Cup or Advanced was going into overtime. And man, the way they could move, it just kind of made me sad. It was cool to watch, but I almost wish I didn't watch. So I was like, man, I'll be there next year in my head. And then I saw it, and I was like, man, I'll never be there.
Yeah. I mean,
those are like college.
Yeah, I was gonna
athletes,
say ex-college.
Ex-college, maybe could have been NHLers or at least.
I'm pretty sure there's like 1 or 2 ringers, ex-NHL.
Oh,
maybe
for
they
sure.
Like on the practice squad or like some lower level
Yes.
professional league.
Yeah, like a feeder, one of those feeder teams for NHL too. Yeah, I think I talked to a guy last year who was like that, and we're in the Lights and Sirens tournament, and oh man, they probably won't have that this year, but I was by far the worst. They just needed another body on the bench, and but it was amazing watching folks like that. Like that fella, we were getting killed, and then finally he was playing defense just to make it even, and then finally he just took the puck and just kept going and trying to score. And they had a good goalie, so that's the only reason why we didn't end up tying it up. But man, he was just launching the puck at that poor goalie. And no one could stop him either. It was amazing to watch because that other team was really good, and then to see him just kind of work through him, it was like, holy cow! It's like so many levels to that game. Yeah, it was amazing. And what was good? And it's amazing how many fire folks do hockey, like whether it's structure fire or wildland, there's so many like people that do hockey and like wildland. I didn't even realize it, or just fire in general, I guess.
For sure. I know there's a big wave when I first did it, just because everyone has the winter off and everyone's like, what do we do?
Yeah.
And like, hey, we're joining this hockey league. It's really fun. This athletic thing we can still.
Yeah.
It draws the same people that come to fire because of fire. You know, I know a lot of people, at least I really like fire because you're on a crew.
Yeah.
So, like really, you have this community where you go through difficult things together, and you just become like good friends with these people that you like, may or may not would have done that otherwise. You know, like
totally.
The people that I've met in fire that I've become really good friends with that I wouldn't have met them outside of fire.
Right.
Yeah.
But you go and you get put through these stressful situations, and that's kind of like the same vibe in hockey.
Yeah.
It's kind of just a continuation of like that crew bonding mentality. That's cool.
Totally, especially especially at the level that we've been playing at Tanner, where it's like novice. Like a lot of times, you know, you could go 50-50. Sometimes you end up on a really good team and you could do really well. But either way, you know, it's good spirited. Like if you lose, like we lost the first 2 games by quite a bit, but everyone's still like good spirits, you know, because everyone's just like happy to be out there. And just like fire, like you said, I mean, you could have just an ass kicker of a fire and you're all dirty and tired, and at the end you're just kind of giggling about nothing. You're like, you know, I haven't slept in 2 days, but what's up? You know, it's gonna happy with everybody. Just drinking coffee with one eye open, pretty much, and yeah, man, great time. That's what I was gonna bring up too about like you guys. And when I came to Stevensville, it's like, man, like I came into that first briefing and I wasn't feeling great, but I was feeling better than I had felt in a while. And then, you know, it was right before kind of everything like landslide on me health wise. And, you know, being in that room and, I mean, you guys, I mean, it was almost August when I showed up. And, you know, it's sometimes, you know, spirits can be getting kind of a little bit low, especially with the amount of fire that was out there that we weren't able to go on because of COVID and all that.
Yeah.
You know, and so, but you guys were in such great spirits, and it turned out like a pretty good season. It sounded like, you know, towards the end, especially like when I left and started getting people out to California, people were able to kind of save the season and get some good hours, which is really good. But even before that, I mean, everyone was still like really chipper for what it was.
It was a good crew.
Yeah.
Like everybody was really awesome.
Yeah. Someone was singing that old Ambrose song. I mean, it was pretty awesome. I walked in. Did you ever hear that one, Tanner?
Is that the Old Town Road?
Yeah,
the old Ambrose.
The old Ambrose version of it. Yeah.
Maybe we'll have to figure out how to make that our intro song.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to talk to you guys about that because I think we do need some kind of intro song.
Oh yeah, have an intro song.
Yeah.
That's necessary.
My favorite line is when someone was singing it and they said, you know, the engine's in the bay, that's where it will stay. It's like, because at that time, I mean, it didn't look like much of a fire season. So you're like, yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, man, that was great. That creativity, like you said, in fire, all the stuff that comes out, like that song had been out for a while, but I never really heard anyone like make it fire related. But somehow you can always like make everything kind of fire related, you know, when you're out there.
For sure. So much time.
So much time.
0 or 100.
Yeah, totally, man. Yeah, on your way to the fire assignment, or like maybe you know, especially with us, it seems like a lot of times we'll kind of end up more like on the dead end of a big fire. You know, you're still doing good work, making sure that doesn't push out and, you know, wrap around on anybody, or, you know, making sure that's dead now. But or falling trees, you know, sometimes you get on that job, but you get a little more downtime with that kind of work too, and get to kind of mess around, and you know, it makes for a really good time on either end of that, you know.
For sure.
And that's the cool thing about fire, you know. I think, I don't know if it's, you know, it gets out of the common public that much, and I kind of want to touch on that tonight too, is like all the different options in fire. And I guess, did you guys ever think about doing something, you know, like besides the district life or rappelling, hot shot, smoke jump, any of that interest you fellas?
You know, it's all like pretty interesting to me and seems really fun, but just being like kind of how old I am, like I feel like it'd be hard to keep up, especially with some hot shots. But it seems like it would be awesome.
Yeah, totally, man. And you know, I can't say anything because I've worked with him, but I've never worked on a hot shot cruise. So, but I kind of feel the same way. You know, that's a lot of miles, and I know they carry a lot of weight and do some really good work, and they get after it. You know, they're around for a reason, that's for sure. And yeah, and the reason why I was asked, because when I first got into fire, I was like, I'm gonna do it all, you know. And I was a little older too. I was in my 20s still, but for career, I was thinking, you know, I knew I wanted to end up being in the smoke jumper world. So I didn't really have a whole lot of time to explore. Like I wish I, you know, would have been like that 18-year-old kid that a lot of people, you know about being from small towns and getting into the fire. And when I started, it was really hard. There was only one position open in Whitehall, and now it seems like the turnover rate's a little bit larger. I mean, like we were hiring folks, you know, like the last fellow we hired, he showed up in end of August, I think. So the forest hired, I guess.
Yeah.
Not me. I had nothing to do with it. But he was a great guy, but it's just kind of strange to be hiring that late. Like back in the day,
it's crazy.
You never see it. Yeah. You'd be packed out on the crew, and if you weren't performing, they might replace you the next year because so many people wanted to get involved. You know.
Totally. That is kind of a crazy thing. How it was very much like that. Difficult to get a job. You needed to know someone, or you needed to apply and call and go and visit the district and keep calling and pass to them. Yeah,
totally. And in the last few years of smoke jumping too, it seemed like it was a little bit harder to maybe get those quality applicants, and not that they weren't quality, but you know, you really gotta want something, you know, like especially like smoke jumping, to go through that rookie training and like any kind of hard training, you know, even like probably hot shotting with their what do they call their critical. Yeah, with their criticals, you know, I've heard about that. It sounds pretty challenging too, and both I wouldn't say are like overly hard or impossible, otherwise I wouldn't be able to do it. And you know, like, but if you really want it, you can grind it out and make it through. But it seemed like some folks, and especially the folks that I've seen, that were like, this guy's a way better athlete and way better shape than I am, and just more applied, got in, didn't really expect to, and went after it and was like, I don't really even want to be here, you know. And most of it's just like them throwing in the towel. It's not because they got washed by a trainer or somebody else. It was that they were just like, you know, I don't think this is for me, which is totally fine, but it's just tough because you don't seem like you'd see that as much a few years back, you know.
What's the difference? Like, when did it change?
Man, I don't know. I want to say, because it seemed like it was right after I was smoke jumping, because on the district, you seem like you're in a better, you see like the pool a little bit better, you know, every year. And I guess I was at a place where I was helping out a little bit with hiring, and then in the jump world, I was in training, so that's where, you know, a lot of the hiring comes from. So I got to help out a little bit with that. And then, I don't know, it seemed like maybe around 2015 or so, I think, because that's when the lead trainer, or the training foreman at the time, came up to me and was like, hey, do you know of anybody? And the problem too is with the jump world is you get kind of separated from the programs that feed the jumpers, like districts, hot shots, and all that good stuff, you know, that are your GS3s and 4s, because you have to be a GS5 to apply to jump and have 290, and you know, usually when you squatting, at least have your IC5 taken care of before you jump. And you know, I really would recommend getting at least a single resource like engine boss or crew boss before you go jump too, because it's just easier to kind of get those higher up quals once you have your single resources done, like engine boss and crew boss. But back to your question, I don't know, it seemed like right after that, but then like I hadn't been on the district in so many years that I couldn't really give a good honest opinion of who. I didn't even know any names at that point either, of people that weren't already in like an engine foreman position, that were in a good position, and you know, it'd be crazy for them to leave to take back to a seasonal job to jump, or you could detail, but even like I don't think they detail so much anymore, because the Ram Air is, a lot goes into the Ram Air now versus jumping the round parachute back when I started, you know. Yeah. If that makes any sense. I know I threw a lot out there, but does that make sense?
Yeah. We'll get to it in the latter episodes, I'm sure.
Yeah. We can talk. Yeah, I'll probably talk a little more about that, but it's just kind of an overview, you know. And it's strange. I think, and that's part of the reason why I want to do this podcast, is talk to, especially you. You know, you got a few seasons in, you're fresh, but you're also seeing it through a little older eyes because you're the same age as me, you know. So, and then Tanner's got a ton of experience too. So we've all got a little bit of experience here, and just kind of see what you're seeing versus what I may be seeing, or what Tanner, because Tanner's kind of a little bit more on my end, but maybe in between, you know.
I think from what I've seen, like a lot of people that would be good at this job or like would succeed are kind of like going to do something else. Yeah. Because once they start and then start, I don't know, getting into some of the shittier aspects of fire. Yeah. The way people are treated or the way people are paid. It's like, man, I could go do something else and not work 600 hours of overtime in the summer.
Yeah, to earn a living. Exactly. And be gone, you know, and you got, you know, and I think we were talking this morning about like family reunions and weddings and all this stuff that you miss, especially because wedding season seems to be later in the summer when it's not going to rain, and that's usually our prime time. Whether there's no fires up here, but we could go anywhere, usually the Southwest or sometimes up to Alaska. So it makes it tough. And I think looking back on it, I remember my first year, and I was treating it like any other job I ever had. If I bust my hump, I'll advance and they'll pay me more because you're worth more if you're going to, be able to put out more. The Forest Service, unfortunately, doesn't have that ladder.
No.
You're stuck at a GS3 until you can prove that you're, enough time and grade to be a GS4. Sometimes if you have a little more experience, you can come in and get that GS4 right away. And then I don't think you can jump any higher than that. And then you just got to grind it out because is the wait time for 5 a year?
Yeah, I think a year of GS4.
GS4 time, yeah.
Which is 2 summers for us.
Yeah, so that's a long time at a GS4 wage, which doesn't pay great, and if you get some fires, it pays all right, and you can kind of make it work. But, if you're in your late 20s or 30s, it's probably not really going to pay the bills that you might have at that point in your life, car payments and rent or mortgage or whatever it might be.
I think the one unfortunate thing that I've noticed is, like, just takes one person that's higher up that doesn't really like you.
Yeah.
And they can, like, really hold you back.
Oh, 100%.
As far as, like, getting quals and moving up, like,
yeah,
it's just super hard to do in a normal situation. But if you have, like, that one beef with somebody, like, they can make it impossible for you.
Yeah, oh, totally. And it's really tough being a new firefighter because you don't know what you're supposed to be doing, even if you're supposed to be just rehabbing tools, and you got some downtime, and maybe someone higher up, like you said, comes and catches you at your worst moment. Like you just got done, cleaning the engine or what PTing or whatever you might be doing that's job related. You have like 1 second, you kind of glance at your phone because you kind of in between things, you don't really know what to do, and that higher up might see you. It was definitely a few chains ahead of you on the org chart, on the organization chart, and then that might, like you said, that little beef shows up that he might not even know about. Like, wow, shoot, man, I didn't know what to do next.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's pretty common, which is really a bum deal. And instead of going up and talking to that first person, be like, hey, what's going on? Like you're new, I'm whatever, and what do you got going on right now? If you need them to do something, then you can be like, well, hey, I just saw some tools that need to be sharpened or handles that need to be, stained or whatever might need to happen, and maybe go check those out and give them a job. I guess is better than just assuming that they're not worth much.
Right, and I hope that's getting better. Like, it kind of seems like an old school, like hard ass mentality that a lot of people in the Forest Service have and like still have.
Oh, totally.
And like, I'd like to think that some of that's kind of going away, but
yeah.
I don't know if it's really that much different than it was 10 years ago, or
I think a little bit. Like a lot of times it seemed like this year we take advantage of those down days and do in-house training, which I think has really helped. And I think folks kind of forget that, especially these up and comers, they don't have my IQCS, my master record for all the classes. I mean, it's huge, and that's typical because you have typically guard school starting off with. Did you have a guard school when you started?
No.
What'd you do for?
No, so it was wrapped up in my forestry degree.
Oh, nice.
So I took like all the fire classes. And,
man,
yeah.
You left that part out.
Oh yeah,
degree,
yeah.
Huh? So what kind of degree were we talking?
Associates.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. So took all the fire classes in your associates?
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah. So actually, my first year I got a GS4.
Oh, really?
Which I was pretty lucky.
That's huge. Yeah. That's a good start because starting off at GS3 can be kind of rough.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's important to know because I didn't even know there's an associates you can get in. You said forestry.
Yeah, forestry and wildlife.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. And then get those classes too. So that's huge, man, for folks that maybe. And I think too, like maybe they don't want to commit quite to a wildland career. So if you can get your associates and kind of figure out like more about the job and see if that's gonna be something that fits, or you could be like, well, I like forestry stuff, maybe not so much on the fire side of things, and then go on and get maybe a 4-year degree in like we were talking earlier about the fire lab and all the other avenues you can go with that. And I mean, it's amazing. You get on USA Jobs and look at all the different openings in just the Forest Service alone, and then not even factoring in DNRC, the state or BLM. So
it's pretty easy to get just like pigeonholed into Forest Service.
Yeah.
But, like, there's a lot of other natural resource jobs out there.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, even in my late career, man, not late, kind of middle of the road career, I guess, I still always forget. I still don't really know how to work the DNRC website, to be honest. So I never really know what the opportunities are there. But
yeah,
I thought I would go on that route too as well, and then the BLM, we don't have as much of it over this way, but like Billings and stuff, and that always seems like a pretty decent career. And a lot of the fires I see out in Billings, I really like it. A lot of times during the fire season, because they have all that grassland and with the what is that bird? always worried about the grouse, the sage grouse. That's the one. we're worried about. Let me rephrase. Yeah. We're all worried about the sage grouse.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of times they gotta stay home and make sure that habitat's being protected by getting on those fires right away, and so they kind of ramp up pretty heavy in the summer, and which is really fun, man. You get to go fight those grass fires, and you may get like one really long shift, but then you could be back at home and chilling and kind of recouping, and then you go back to the station, and you might get a few more days between fires, like depending on what the ranchers and farmers are doing with the implements, because that's pretty high fire rate and storms, so kind of stay pretty busy out there, and I really liked that and working with those folks out there in Billings.
Yeah, that's one thing that I haven't experienced yet. It's like a ripping grass fire.
Yeah, man, it's pretty interesting because I think we got sent. We were on a different fire, kind of more eastern Montana. Then we came back, and on their Type 6, those older BLM Type 6s, I think they're mostly like fiberglass, and their main tool door, just because I think there's a quick wind switch, and that fire, the heel of the fire became like the fire front or something like that. I can't remember exactly what the story was, but somehow like it flared up and it was like licking at the side of the engine, and
oh man,
that door was all kinds of messed up. They had to replace that sucker. But man, it's exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I was gonna tell a story for a guy, but I'll probably wait on that one and maybe get it directly from him his own words, because it's pretty funny about like those fires up that way, man, and just getting involved with the ranchers out there. They're usually pretty quick to respond, and when you're orbiting over in like the helicopter or a jump plane, it's kind of cool to see them out there, and man, they got a pretty good idea of what needs to be done. They'll be out there ringing it with like a disc or whatever they have on their tractor and getting to town, or some of those guys out there still have some old dozers and stuff they mess with. So
I love hearing stories about ranchers down in Texas.
Oh yeah,
fighting fire. Like, those dudes are nuts.
Oh man, yeah, I haven't heard too many stories.
I mean, I just heard that they're pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, no specific stories that I can recall, but like,
yeah, just some wild stuff maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably about the same too with those Montana ranchers out there in the east, kind of same deal, like just going head on at the sucker. But I mean, they seem like they kind of know what they're doing, because they seem to knock them out sometimes faster than any other resources. I mean, they're out in the middle of nowhere, so by the time you like the jump planes, it's probably one of the fastest resources, next to it. Well, I mean, faster than the helicopter until we get a Black Hawk, I guess. I believe. I don't know that for sure, but that was the last thing I heard before I left the jump world. And so I mean, sometimes we'll get out there and it'll be black, just like a black spot, and you'll see like the tractors just cruising around. You're like, oh.
You're like, oh.
I guess they don't need us anymore.
Yeah.
Which it's kind of disappointing, because you want to get out there and see what you can do. Yeah. How long have we been at this, boys?
About 70 minutes.
70 minutes? Oh, geez, a little over an hour.
Yeah, that's proper podcast length, right?
That is proper podcast length. That's what I was kind of thinking too. I don't know if you guys want to talk about anything else, though. I mean, I had some few other topics, but I mean, I'll probably talk to you boys all night if you let me.
I think it's a really good just start,
Yeah.
Because there's things like, I need a microphone next time.
Definitely, yeah.
I'm gonna go back and look through this editing. It's gonna sound. You guys are gonna sound great. I'm gonna sound like
you're gonna sound muffled.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a really good start.
See, that's kind of what I want Doug here too, because like you or Seth or somebody like who's a little more like laid back, and there's no format really. We're just talking about your experience and trying to get you out there and talk about Tanner. Well, and all of our experience, and kind of hopefully whoever listens to this will be able to get a feel off this first podcast about kind of who we are and what we're doing and what we're trying to accomplish with this thing. I guess maybe I should talk about that a little bit. I think I should talk about that right now.
We are, dude.
Yeah, here we go. Well, here we go. So part of the thing I want to do with the Lookout podcast is bring folks together in any kind of outdoors activity. I mean, not just wildland just is my area of expertise, I would say at this point. I've got about 12 years in. But so it'll be heavier on the wildland scene, whether it's BLM, DNRC, private too, or Forest Service. I'd like to talk to any and anybody out there, whether some of those private crews that you see that we all see on fires a bunch, or BLM folks, and especially folks like you who've been out there and fought fire in Minnesota, where I've never been. And is that Region 9?
Yeah, Region 9.
That's what I thought. Yeah. And the Medewan's the only hotshot crew in that region.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, I heard the Medewan gets to do some really cool stuff out there. And
Yeah, so they're in Illinois, and they have a bunch of like native prairie left.
oh, cool.
So they do like some crazy burning.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And that what makes it like not only Medewan, but a bunch of those hotshot crews, because the amount of exposure they have to fire that in that respect. You know, they do so much burning compared to the rest of us.
Mm-hmm.
Even as a jumper, we had some. Well, the jump places I've been in, the experience I had, just for me, has been really similar to the district. Like, we do our fall burns, our spring burns, and then once in a while, if you get lucky, you get a really good roll down south where it's not raining a bunch. You get to do a lot of burning down there, and that's I think where jumpers get a lot of experience that in the burning that way. Unfortunately, I think I was down there 3 times, and I think most of the time I was down there, it was raining a ton. So I got some really good experience following these big hardwoods that I'd never messed with before.
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
super
for
hollow.
sure.
Yeah. Oh man, and some of those things. I mean, you probably being from Minnesota, cut some of those big old hardwoods and had like the hollow or the inside be pretty hollow, and the top must be gone too because it fills with water. So
It's kind of like similar to cottonwood.
Yeah,
around here, but
that's what I noticed.
mostly all we cut was balsam fir, which is like same thing as piss fir here.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Just like making little mop handles.
Yeah, oh, that's awesome, man. Yeah, because man, I couldn't even tell you what the species was. I'm just gonna say oak, something like that. I think it was probably like an oak because it didn't have like the shaggy bark like some of the hickory does, which I guess is only one species of hickory. But anyways, it was pretty hollowed out, and it had been filling up with water. And luckily, I didn't get as bad as they were telling me where this poor gal was searching for a bee, and I guess she just toughed through it, man. Like she put in, I think part of her slope cut for her face cut, and I think it was fine until she put it in the bottom of like the bird beak and kicked that triangle piece out, that wedge, and it just threw up all over.
Yeah.
Dirty water.
It literally just sprays like douches.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yep.
a well filling up.
Exactly,
So,
like a well. Exactly.
I have a buddy that works on a tree crew, and he's talked about that too. He's been like climbing up in a tree, like 20 foot into a tree, cuts into a branch, and it's just like you open a faucet.
Yeah.
And it just starts like spraying your face.
Oh, it smells so bad because
Yeah.
that water's just been in there so long, man, and just going bad. Oh, speaking of fermentation, I don't know if that's the same thing, but
Dude, I bet you could drink that, and it's probably can get you drunk.
it could probably take it to the next level. Yeah, like this girl. I mean, I think she was searching for her bees. What they told me, and I guess she just like nothing happened. And they wouldn't even let her get in the truck with the clothes she was wearing because it was that bad, man. And afterwards she was like, oh, like she let it out, but like, dude, kept her composure, put a nice back cut in, put it right where she intended. Her lay was perfect. Everything was great.
So she got it.
But she was soaked.
Yeah, but she was soaked in tree puke. Yeah, I don't think that's the official name, but that's what I'm calling it.
Yeah.
Oh man, I only got a little bit of taste of it, and it was not nice. Oh man, yeah. And then you got to smell it. Like luckily, it was my first tree of the day, so I got to smell it for the rest of the day, which was awesome.
Did it kind of look like aspen? Like similar to an aspen?
Like as in the outside of the tree?
Yeah.
No, I want to say it was like like the oaks kind of got that. Well, I get it could have been actually what's another like a kind of a junk tree. No one really likes them back there in like the Midwest.
Well, like the thing I was thinking about was balsam poplar.
Oh, balsam poplar,
which straight up smells like cat piss.
Oh, it might
when you
have
cut
been,
into
man.
it. I guess I've never cut into one, but
yeah, dude, maybe that
from
was
what
it.
I've heard, yeah,
cause
straight cat piss.
Yeah, because I was thinking it was like the box elders. If you seen
Oh,
that,
okay,
like,
yeah, box elders.
yeah,
Kind of like a shitty maple.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I've been told. So that's like, I guess I don't really know it's a shitty tree, but I've heard no one really likes them, and I mean they grow really good, I guess, everywhere. But then they die, don't they? Like they.
Yeah, they're
rot
just
out.
kind of a shrubby, shitty tree that I don't know.
Yeah,
kind of
pain in
takes
the ass.
over.
Yeah, it seems like the tree services are always taking them out of people's yards and stuff because they grow so fast. And but yeah, so the podcast will be about even that. I mean, shoot, if someone's got a ton of tree service experience, I'd like to talk to them and see what they're doing. But anything that has to do with like outdoors, and like being out in our public lands, and I think that's the message that doesn't get out there as much. Like I think we have that local commercial in Montana that talks about getting out there and it's kind of talking about the kids at school or talking about how they went out to the woods for the weekend, which is probably a really good X. Who knows if the kids are getting out there like they used to back in the day, like when we were kids, camping all the time. And like the forester was just a good excuse to go out camping, and might get tired of it after a while, but you get a lot in. And so like anyone who's out there in the woods recreating, whether hunting, hunting has to do a lot with preservation and conservation, of a lot of our forests. And so I talk to folks like that, and kind of whoever is interested in the outdoors. I love talking fishermen, people out there fly fishing, and I think that's about covers it. Who else would you guys like to hear on the podcast?
Exactly like you said, like anyone involved in the community.
Yeah.
Yeah,
totally.
I like to hear from other lookouts.
Yeah, lookouts.
Dude,
yeah.
Lookouts.
Really good, and
yeah.
they're just interesting characters.
Oh, totally.
They all, like, no one goes to be a lookout because I want to make a bunch of money. They go because they want that space.
Yeah.
They want to be in that tower on top of a mountain and
Who doesn't like hanging out on top of a mountain in a tower? Like it's pretty sweet.
It's pretty awesome. It's so
but
rare.
It draws a certain type of person. I think.
It really does.
Yeah, you gotta be able to live that life.
Yeah.
Deal with it. Every aspect of it.
Yeah, totally, man. And I was in the Bob Marshall on a fire back there. I just can't remember the name. And in the morning, you'd hear them all check in, just like we hear you check in. And it was kind of neat because there was more in there than I thought. I'd seen a few. And it's kind of cool because they usually if we were jumping a fire in the Bob Marshall Wilderness out of Missoula, is because a lookout called it and somehow was able to request us. It seemed like to me, because we'd always show the lookouts a lot of love, and we appreciate them just like we appreciate you and all the lookouts, because that helps us get on those fires and keep them small. And so a lot of times we'd do like a low flight near the tower and throw out a few streamers for them, and they'd be out there on on their deck, like you have your little deck, and waving. It was so cool because I was standing in the door one time with the DC3, and the doors, it's huge, it's the size of an average human like myself, and so I was kind of leaning out, giving them a wave, and we were eye to eye. It felt like, it was really cool.
Man, that's awesome.
So,
do you remember which one that was? It was in the Bob.
It was in the Bob, and
Prairie Reef, maybe.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's almost like the formations there. It was almost. It looked like the river was below, and they were almost on like a ridge line, and we went by pretty fast. So I can't remember exactly which one, but. For sure. And then there's one I got to talk to. It was a gal. She was above the Gates Park area in a lookout. I can't remember what the name of that lookout was. I wish I could remember these. But she was super cool. She actually had to like evacuate her tower, not because the tower was going to get burned over, I don't think, but just because she might get cut off because of the fire.
Oh yeah.
And then we wouldn't be able to get any supplies to her as well. They use all those pack strings, which is super cool. And so she came down and just kind of helped us out with doing observations, and we even hiked up to a different cabin just a little bit north of where we're at, Gates Park, and did some structure pro and some triage, and a triage list of what we would need, like how much hose and pump, and how close I guess that goes with how much hose, but how close the water source, if there was a water source, to the cabin, and kind of what the fuel by the cabin looked like, like if there's going to need to be like a crew flown in there to do some fuel reduction to try to save that cabin. And man, it's cool. And the thing, dude, when we looked down the map, it looked like maybe an inch, maybe 2-3 inches at the most. And it was like, oh, we're just going there. We'll be there and back. And they're like, well, you might want to leave a little bit before sunup, So like the sun didn't really come up, and you had that. It was just light. So it was kind of cool. We're walking across the airstrip, the old airstrip they don't really use anymore. And me and just another fella from the area, and it took us a little while to get up there, but it was cool. I was enjoying everything, and on the way back, it was like we saw a bear paw print way bigger than my hand, which I don't have the biggest hand, but I was like, it wasn't there on the way up though.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah. And I was like, oh man, and all we have are a couple Pulaskis, It's like, well, if he wants us, so we're pretty much out here for him.
You're the Bob, dude. You gotta bring some.
Yeah, we need
bear spray.
We need some bear spray or something, man. Some kind of firepower.
It's amazing how many firefighters think they can fend off with a bear with a Pulaski or a chainsaw. That's not gonna work as well as you think it is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly, man. Like,
just nip it, and I'd be so pissed.
Yeah,
so pissed. Did you just come in with a chainsaw? What the fuck?
Yeah, that bar is not long enough. Like their arm is way longer than a bar.
Yeah.
So. Oh yeah, that'd just be terrible. yeah, so we saw the bear paw print on the way back, and then we saw this ginormous elk, a bull elk down there too. It was really cool. And stopped and I jumped in the Sun River because it was like just like beautiful, and we've been hiking all day and hot. And then we got back on the trail, so we didn't take too much time besides going up, taking care of business, and getting back. And we were probably moving a little faster once we saw that paw print. And when we got back, it was like the same kind of light of when we left, maybe just a little bit darker. So the sun was down, but it was like enough light to see a little, like pretty good still. And it was like, whew, I mean, we just made it, And it didn't look like it was that far on the map,
Right. It's a whole day.
It was wild, yeah. But yeah, and then I don't know if all goes well with the podcast. I'd like to try to do some more fundraiser type things eventually, and I know like me and a few other folks and me and Doug were talking about this morning, even just trying to get, once COVID's done, trying to get some kind of like wildland firefighter games going eventually, something to get everyone together,
Yeah. Just how it sounds.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wildlife. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Coob champion.
Coob
there we go.
Dude. Yeah, we can do that. We can throw it all in there, but like we were talking this morning, something that might get you in shape for the fire season. A fun way to kind of prepare, and get everything. Not that we all don't love running and all that good stuff. I think the GoPro just went out on us, so I kept hearing a beep, and I was like, I don't know what's that's coming from. I don't even know if I'm in the GoPro shop, to be honest. I think I set that up, and I think I put.
Well, it's got the fisheye lens, right?
Yeah,
you should be in there.
Yeah, I might be in there.
Yeah.
So, any other ideas of where to take this thing?
No, I mean, just on your last point about trying to get more of a community built, like that's what I like about it a lot.
Yeah, because
just like getting people together and like,
yeah,
I don't know, it's really easy for people to just like lose contact after the fire season ends.
Oh, totally.
So man. I like giving people like reason to keep hanging out, keep talking.
Yeah, to get back together, and even some folks who maybe just. Like a lot of times it seems like folks get in the Forest Service, at least the wildland, it's a great job for school. You can have a short season, still make pretty good money if you get on a few fires, even if you don't, and then it's a job that you can always come back to. Because that was part of the reason that I had trouble with when I first got into college, just trying to get a job that would bring me back. And a lot of folks don't want to keep you on if you're going to work a short season and leave, into August or September. So I don't really know what my point was with that part, but. I lost it. But anyways, it's, just good job. And that's what you're saying, like getting together. So folks like that who, this is just green tea, but I mean, just get late because I'm old. But so like folks, just did this job to get through college, like it might give them a reason to come out and figure out some way to put them in the mix they want to, like put together their own team or whatever it might be, or just come out and drink some beer and drink some of Doug's stuff and shit's beer and
sounds like I'm giving people the shits.
Yeah, I might have to work on
Doug's
that name,
stuff and shits. Yeah, we got to be careful with that.
Yeah, I might have to change that name maybe. At least tweak it a little bit. Rearrange some wording maybe. But yeah, give folks something to get together for, like you said, and then depending on how it goes, see if maybe like a wildland, like the Wildland Firefighter Foundation, who helped me out with surgery and all that good stuff, and one of my really good friends helped him out too when he had an accident. So I mean, I owe a lot to the Wildland Firefighter Foundation already, but it'd be cool to be able to help them out, and even if we come up with like our own kind of foundation too, to tackle the same goal that they have at the Wildland Firefighter Foundation. I just say it again to make sure I get it out there.
No, you're doing good. It's rolling off the tongue.
Yeah, now it is. It took a couple tries. And kind of help them out and just kind of share the load that they kind of carry, because as far as I know, they're the only ones out there that are able to help in that capacity. Like when it came to like my surgery, they're able to help me out, and I mean, it was like no questions asked, like, hey, this is what's going on. We heard you're going to Mayo, like here's what we can give you. And I was like, oh dude, that's so
awesome.
Great. Yeah, help pay for hotel rooms and gas and all that good stuff, just getting there. And which is huge, because we don't really get as much support from other areas in like the government, just probably similar to what people do in the experience in the military as well when they get out. So having the foundation there is amazing. And if this thing got enough traction to where we could help, I mean, that's something else I'd like to do too, is work with them and come up with our own thing. And I don't know, maybe we could do some runs or something down the road, and kind of help raise charities for our foundation, you know, to help out wounded wildland firefighters or wildland firefighters' families who, you know, maybe experienced like the worst of it, you know, and lost a family member to fire, and then we can help out those families. So that's kind of the goal of this, and hopefully get it going. I think this is a great start, man. It was great hanging out with you guys, and man, I appreciate you guys taking the time to come out here and sit with me and talk.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Maiden voyage here.
Maiden voyage, yeah, pilot run.
Yeah.